Yo, what's going on, y'all? Fabian Speaks, and we are back with another video, man. So we're talking to why God emphasizes keeping a sober mind. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know y'all's thoughts down in the comment section below, man. So we're gonna start with an overview. Be sober-minded. Your adversary, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion, seeking someone to devour. I'm over here stumbling over my words. 1 Peter 5:8. So, right, this talks about commanding a clear, self-controlled mindset to resist temptation and spiritual danger. Being sober-minded means having a stable, rational mind focused on God rather than being intoxicated by worldly influences, anger, or fear. So with that being said, man, I wanted to make a video on this today because it was on my spirit too. I think I'm able to be transparent enough with y'all on this platform to where, like, I give my testimonies, my trials and tribulations, so that other people can lean on lean on my testimony and be able to relate it to their experiences and help them get through tough times, man. So for me personally, more or less been in a season of isolation. And I call it a season, right, because it's going to come to an end, right? Nothing lasts forever. But it personally, my feelings have been alluding to the fact that this is never ending, have been alluding to the fact that, I'm just frustrated, have been alluding to the fact that I feel alone, have been certain times during the season to where somewhat feel like God is very silent, So when you're in a season like that, it can be very challenging, right? I work fully remote. I'm in a city to where, like, I'm not surrounded by my family like that, so I'm not popping up and seeing people all the time. So just, you can see all the components, right? So what I'm trying to say is it can get kind of lonely. There's been times to where I've leaned on alcohol, smoking. There's been times where I've leaned on lustful practices, to say the least, right? Dating apps, things like that. Just like, basically when you have nothing to do with yourself and, like, you sit idle and you start getting antsy is what I've been feeling like, And obviously there's been a lot of temptation in this season. So with that, more or less, it's like, me personally, it's been very tough, right? And when the Bible speaks about being sober-minded, right? When the Bible speaks about not having these influences or maybe taking substances that, like, alternate your brain chemistry, your mind, who you actually are, to stay away from these things, right? Because one, they cloud judgment. Two, they kind of blurry the lines or blurry the waters with your capability of hearing the Lord. So during these seasons that, although I do believe wholeheartedly I'm in the season due to God trying to mold me and, build my faith, during these seasons, it's helped me understand that much more through these patterns and things that I do, why to maintain a sober mind. And the Bible talks heavily about, obviously, not having any other gods before the Lord our God, right? Not have any idols, things that you prioritize above God. And what I could start seeing through my patterns is that I wasn't consistent in my prayer life. I'm not consistent in reading the word, no matter how much I think that I can balance the two, So I started to see these patterns to where, like, if something's tripping you up, remove it, right? Like, don't play around with things that are naturally throwing you off course. And I don't know why it took me so long to kind of just shake loose and get to that point, right? But I'm making this video because that's where I am currently. Like, when it comes to substance abuse and using that as a cushion, it'll never play out for you. It'll never play out because, first and foremost, you resorting to these things as some type of fulfillment or some type of things that you'll derive peace or joy from is a complete hoax, and it's a complete lie from the enemy. Because naturally we understand, right, that we get that from God, who's our source. So one of the biggest things is like during this season is re-understanding who I am. And maybe I never understood to begin with, man, because when you have the promises of God and you're not walking hand in hand with those things, when you're not believing who you are, who he says he is, and you're maybe dipping and dabbing in the world, those two things can't mesh. So when you've been called or set apart, you can't do what everybody else does. And it's funny because like even when I was younger, I wondered why I was never included. I was always the black sheep. But because God set me apart from an early age, and I'm just starting to realize that as I'm older. But I always wonder why things didn't go my way when I try to do things of the flesh, right? It's like something was already supernaturally, putting up roadblocks, rerouting me, not allowing me to do certain things. So I say that because you have to walk in alignment with that as you are building in faith, getting spiritually resilient, because you're not going to be able to do things that you think everybody else can do. One, because you're not of that flock, right? You're a part of God's family. You're a part of his body. So when you think that you can just, and on top of that, it's an honor when you come to this understanding, because you realize how God is moving and maneuvering in and out your life. Now you can say, oh, that was just irony. I don't know. But in actuality, when you pay attention, you understand that God is readjusting, moving in certain aspects in your life to where he's not allowing you to do things, go certain places, hang out with certain people. He'll block you from maybe doing certain things that are very detrimental, in the spirit and for your flesh. So that's a big thing. Is like we try to spend all this time like drowning out sorrows, but we're not even aligned. We're not even called to take that route to solve our problems, right? We're called to rest in God, pray, fast, be more spiritually resilient, spend time in the word. Everything we have is already given. Everything, like we don't lack anything as children of God. And that's the point. Like we find ourselves in these seasons to where we're second guessing who we are. But when you understand who you are, you won't be afraid of anything. Any season that you think is hard is only something that's building you up. It takes some people a long time to get to this point. And it's crazy because it's the aspect of free will. God ain't gonna force you to do nothing that you ain't, you know what I mean? So you could spend years and extended amount of time in this cycle is what I'm trying to get at. So let's read some key Bible verses for a sober mind. 1 Peter 1:13, therefore prepare your minds for action and being sober-minded. Set your hope fully on the grace that will be brought to you at the revelation of Jesus Christ. 1 Thessalonians 5:6, so then let us not sleep as others do, but let us keep awake and be sober. So basically there's like this mindset of always being on alert, always being on go. And sometimes I used to look at that as a burden, because like I found myself being like set apart to where I found myself God waking me up at certain times to pray. Like I could see how he had set me as a watchman for my family or maybe for others, to where like he was waking me up at 2 or 3 in the morning. It got to a point to where I felt like I had this burden, like I had to be the one to step in the gap, which I know that I've been called to. But the point is that it's not, you shouldn't feel so like you shouldn't have a burden. And I don't know why I felt like that. You know what I mean? If God's going to call you to do something, he's definitely going to equip you to do it. He's not going to leave you out to dry. So for some reason, I felt like I had this pressure on my shoulders to be this person and do things. And that's just a selfish, egotistical mindset. When you start finding yourself thinking too much about how you can do something, what it's going to take to get there, how you can sustain yourself, you notice how I'm using a lot of you, and sometimes a lot of I. You found yourself put in a position to where you're trying to do things without God. Don't ever go about things thinking of how am I going to get this done? Where would I? Pray about it. Hey, God, I'm facing this right now in my life. I know that you're with me. I just pray that you are with me, that you cover me, that you give me insight on it just depends on the dynamic, right? Lord, I have a test tomorrow. I've done my due diligence to study. Give me the confidence to actually go in and execute. Oh Lord, I'm facing financial hardship, but Lord, I'm thankful for everything that you've already given me, Lord. You're faithful and you're abundant, and I know that whatever I'm facing, you already have an answer for. Like, you should already be in a position of knowing everything's going to figure itself out no matter what the current state or season looks like, right? Titus 2:6, likewise, urge the younger men to be self-controlled, noting that self-controlled in this context often refers to being sober-minded, man. And self-control, right? We were talking about men, young men today. I'm not even talking about, well, it could be more or less today are struggling with lust, right? We have access to the internet. People are on pornography sites left and right. Things are more accessible nowadays. So we've seen that uptick in people having more depression, men complaining about being addicted to porn, like, right? Back then, it was just a Playboy magazine. You didn't have access to videos, countless videos online. So there's a certain amount of discipline and restraint as well. It's not always just about being, intoxicated. But what I've come to find out is that, like, drinking alcohol ain't it. People try to say that's why it's called a spirit, because one, people say it invokes that, but two, people say it drowns out your spirit. It drowns out the Holy Spirit in you. A lot of people mention that when you are a drinker like that, it clouds you from being able to hear the Lord. And I'm not gonna lie to you, even on this channel, like, there was times to where I hit this cadence, right? To where I just knew the Holy Spirit was just giving me downloads. I was able to drop videos like this. I drink one night, come back the next day, that intensity is flatline. It's completely gone. It's completely gone. So these are things that you have to kind of heighten your discernment to understand, right? Not everything is going to be blatantly revealed to you in terms of what's going on in the spirit, but surface level in the natural, you think everything's okay, but it's like slowly but surely destroying you. So don't lose yourself trying to find some peace of mind through vices or addictions is my point on this video, man. And you'll find yourself going down this whole rabbit hole in terms of, like, once you look up, you won't even, it'll blow your mind how much time you've wasted, right? You can't live in this facade dream world. You can't live in this cloudy. And I was watching a video, and I'm going to misquote it, and I don't even recall the gentleman that I mentioned this, but he said you can't step into your destiny without a clear, focused, sharp mind. If you're just a drunkard, if you're just a stoner, whatever it may be, and thinking that you're going to fall into your calling, or you're going to be able to align with your calling, or what God has created you to be or do, that's not the case. Right? Because we're called out of that. And this is what I mean by full alignment. And maybe it ties to, like, full surrender. You're actually reflecting the character of Christ, right? We're not perfect, but you're submitting to God. God didn't call us to be drunkards, right? So that doesn't align with the anatomy. That doesn't align with your DNA as a kingdom child. So these are things that you got to understand, man. It will never, it's like trying to put, a square within a circle shape. It will never fit. So it's like us as children of God trying to be a part of the world. It will never work. You'll find yourself going in circles, man. So mental stability, being vigilant in, your prayer life, in your fellowship, in your reading the word, connecting with God. And this is a big point, to be eternity focused, right? That may sound like a leap away and, I'm on earth now. I'm still a human. How can I be eternity focused? Hey, that's what picking your cross up is about every single day. Being action-based, being serious in your walk. And I'm not sitting here acting like I'm perfect, but God's speaking to me. He keeps reiterating to me, bro, like, you got to be serious, man. You know, God could use you. And I think that we're at a vital time in terms of spiritual war. So I don't want to be just in the world and watch time pass me by, especially when I ask God for a calling in my life that actually has meaning. It's to serve Him, to preach the gospel, to spread the good news. But how can I do that if one day I'm hungover, one day I'm in nah, you gotta every single day. Me personally, I believe this is my calling, to do YouTube content creation for the Lord, to have a channel to speak about God, my trials and tribulations, uplift, motivate, encourage. You know, and I've always told myself, man, when this takes off, I'm going to just put everything down. I'm going to just go full-fledged, be in my mission. But like, that doesn't even make sense, right? How can I sit here and say that when then it's taken away from the authenticity? Showing up each and every single day with a sound mind, focused, putting in work regardless of the results. When this happens, then nah, that's not, because if you're not putting the actions or putting the steps into play now, when it happens, you're definitely not going to be doing it. So yeah, man, I would just encourage y'all, keep a sober mind. And the thing is, it's funny because over time you'll get addicted to being sober. Like, just the high on life will start resonating more. It's just very scary in the beginning stages, to when you've been connected to this thing, to this addiction, to wherever this may be, this vice, and you're trying to cut the cord. Give yourself some time. But God's able to do all things. So not even just naturally, it's going to take some time to digress, but God is capable. So comment down below, let me know y'all's thoughts, man. We're on that sober, focused journey, man. We're really, and the thing is, you may have missteps, but the point is to understand how vital it is, man. We got a job to do, essentially. So how do you look when stumbling all over the place, not sharp, not focused? So comment down below, let me know y'all's thoughts if y'all can relate, and we'll see y'all in the next video, man.